Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
With just 9 games left in the Cape League summer, the Harbor Hawks have fallen to last place in the West Division. Off the heels of a run rule loss last night in Cotuit, Hyannis returns to the friendly confines of McKeon Park looking for one crucial thing: momentum. The Harbor Hawks search for that tonight with the Bourne Braves in town, a team that has had their number in July. Hello everyone from inside the broadcast booth. I'm Max Schwartzberg alongside Giovanni Collada and Graham Nash. Welcome to Harbor Hawks Baseball. Well, I spoke to Mitch Carricker after the 11-0 loss last night in Cotuit, and he told me that if the Harbor Hawks are going to lose a game, it's going to be because the other team beat them. And Graham, last night against Cotuit, while they did explode in the 8th inning, the Kettleers, the free passes really marred Hyannis 1 through 7.
Yeah, they did. And even in the 8th, Hyannis committed an infield error to begin that 8th inning that led to the walk-off grand slam. So it was pretty ugly from beginning to end. But that's just kind of how July has gone. There have been so many free passes, 9 walks in yesterday's ballgame against Cotuit, and a hit batsman. So it's just been more of that than we saw in June. And even in the beginning parts of this month, it was just a lot cleaner than it is now. And even the last time that these two teams played, Hyannis walked 8 and Bourne committed 5 errors. So likely that we could see something similar in tonight's ball game, even though both teams are going to try to keep it clean.
And Gio, last night was the first time that the Harbor Hawks have been shut out all season long through 31 games. And an offense that has really struggled. The pitching has kind of overshined that with their difficulties, but the offense right there with them.
And that record in July has coincided with that offensive lack of production, Max, that you mentioned. Hasn't been as much of a focal point, at least from what we've been talking about, as the pitching has. It's easy to overlook an offense that doesn't score any runs when a pitching staff allows 11. But this Hyannis pitching staff, as we've mentioned time and time again, has been phenomenal striking out batters. But how about the flip side of that, Max, where the offense has struck out quite a bit across this recent stretch of difficult play? Last night's was the 6th game in a row where Hyannis has struck out 8 or more times at the plate, and make no mistake, they lost that game big, as they have in a couple of recent games. So looking at the strikeout numbers, it has changed a bit across the course of the season, but recently, Max, is where Hyannis has really struggled with strikeouts.
Well, we're going to turn around in just a moment and get you ready for first pitch between the Harbor Hawks and Bourne Braves.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the Rental Source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, Join us at capehousingmatters.org.
We'll take you through the visiting batting order as penciled in by the Bourne Braves. Riker Waite will lead it off with Gavin Kelly batting second. Cade Lewis bats third. Braden Holcomb in the cleanup spot with Drew Wires batting fifth. Kyle Stefacik batting sixth with John LeGrande batting seventh. Mark Quattrani will bat eighth. And Ryan Cooney batting ninth. And look at Drew Wires, a 3.68 average and 11.66 OPS in 5 games this summer for Bourne. He has been really impressive in a limited sample size. And the guy on the mound for Hyannis, he faced these Bourne Braves last time out, his last start. It's Max Stammel coming in with a nice earn run average for Hyannis, but it's been a tough summer as a whole. 4.76 ERA, but the walks a bit high. 7 walks in 11 1/3 innings. And last time against Bourne, Graham, the Harbor Hawks as a team walked 8.
Yeah, it was a tough showing. Just that pitching staff really struggled with the free passes, as we've seen throughout this month. And Stammel, he kept it pretty clean relative to the other pitchers. Only 2 walks for him in that appearance, in that start against Bourne. And after his most recent appearance against Brewster, he didn't walk any. So he seems like he's trending in the right direction.
Well, as mentioned, Riker Waite, who was halfway to the cycle against Hyannis last week, stepping into the plate for the first time tonight. He had a 3-run home run and a triple, so he knocked out some of the hardest things to do for the cycle, but was not able to complete it. As first pitch misses away from Stammel, and we're underway from McKeon. Oh, 1 on the outside corner. Count level at 1-1. Bourne and Hyannis, Graham, kind of 2 teams in very similar positions in terms of standing, the numbers. Bourne with the highest earn run average in the Cape League. And Hyannis, it's been July specifically where that has ballooned for them.
Yeah, July's been a real struggle. Just even on the hitting side, it's been a struggle. But that July ERA is one of the worst in the Cape League. It's bottom 3rd right now, above 5 runs, 5 earned runs allowed in an appearance.
Ahead 1-2. And there's strikeout number 1 of the day for Max Stammel. Pulled the string on him.
Yeah, really good pitch there from Stammel. Going up against the switch hitter Waite, he decided to pull that string, and it just moved away from Riker Waite. Stammel, he struck out at least 1 in every appearance that he's made this season, so that stays true.
Take you through the defensive placement for Mitch Carricker tonight. Parker Brocious in left, Owen Prince in center, Devin Mitchell in right. Third to first, Miles Davis, Jake Schaffner, Jeff Luigi, and Jace Doby as Gavin Kelly fouls the first pitch off to the right out of play. Brody Briggs, good to see him back behind the plate once again for Max Stammel. He exited early last time out at McKeon Park after getting hit with a couple pitches behind the plate. Kelly did not play the last time these 2 teams faced last week. Only 4 Braves in the starting lineup played in that game. Outside for ball 1.
And that's just been the way that this season has gone for a lot of teams. We are rarely seeing consistency through lineups right now, and that's especially true for these 2 teams. But even looking at Katuitt, who Hyannis played yesterday, it was a big difference.
On the hands and bloop to right field. Devin Mitchell coming in, but he's got no play. There's the first hit of the day for Bourne, and it's with 1 out here in the first inning.
Just really good defense there from Gavin Kelly. Get the barrel on the ball, put it into the outfield. And I thought that Jace Doby might have had a shorter run to that ball and a chance, but it was Luigi that went over, tried to make the play. We've seen him make a couple fantastic diving ones in the past couple games, but that was just a little bit far out of his reach.
Well, there's 1 out.
Cade Lewis was one of the Braves who played last week against Hyannis, but he was not successful. 0 for 4 with 2 punch-outs. That was a game where Bourne committed 5 errors, and Hyannis brought the tying run to second base back in the 9th inning, and they were not able to get the big hit, and that's been kind of the story of this month, Graham. It's, yes, been the pitching, but it's also been the offense looking for that firepower, and it just hasn't been the same.
Yeah, the OPS for Hyannis right now, bottom 2 in the Cape League, and so is the slugging. It's just not there.
Broken bat, the barrel goes flying. Jeff Luigi to the backhand, a second for 1 on the first.
Yeah!
A twin killing. A snap shillelagh and 2 for 1, and that ends the first inning. We'll head to the bottom of the first. from McKeon Park.
It all starts here at Dean College.
For each Harbor Hawks home run hit this season here at McKeon Park, $50 is donated to the Family Pantry of Cape Cod by Monomore Real Estate and Construction. And Pretty Picky Property Select Vacation Rentals. Pretty Picky and Monomoy, the team with everything you need to hit a real estate home run on Cape Cod. Well, Mitch Carricker penciling in another home batting order that looks a little bit different. He's been really trying to switch it around, trying to get something to work. As Owen Prince will lead it off with Parker Brocious batting second. Jeff Luigi to the 3 spot, a .327 average in July, leads the Harbor Hawks. Jace Dobiak cleanup with Jake Schaffner in the 5 hole. Dane LaChance will do the catching, or will DH rather, batting 6 with Miles Davis back in there at the 7 hole. Brody Briggs back in the lineup batting 8th with Devin Mitchell out of the 9 hole for Mitch Carricker. On the mound, Colin Fisher for the Bourne Braves. They're facing a southpaw. And tonight, they have the right lineup. Not a lot of lefties as we've come accustomed to. A 3.86 ERA. There it is. Last time against Wareham. 5 innings, 2 hits. He really shoved there, Graham.
Yeah, he did. 5 strikeouts as well. He's a really good pitcher. In his sophomore season with Arkansas, had a 4.62 ERA across 16 games. And that's with metal bats. With these wooden bats, he's just decreased that by about a run. So he is just solid through and through. 31 strikeouts this last season. But to your point, Max, 5 righties in this batting order for Hyannis. It's the most that we've seen from them maybe this entire season.
Owen Prince takes strike 1. We finally saw the speed of Prince on display yesterday in Catuit. He had a broken bat double that barely scored it fair down the left field line. And this is a guy who was 3rd in the entire NCAA in steals this past spring.
And he shows bunt there just to let the infield know that I can do that and still make it over to first base. He's at incredible speed. That was the 2nd double this season that he's just kind of legged out, made something out of nothing.
On the corner for strike 2. And Fisher, a guy who stays in the strike zone. And as we've learned this summer, Bourne and Hyannis, 2 teams that struggle with command. Bourne, the highest walk margin in the entire Cape League. Hyannis is 2nd. And when you really take into account that you got a guy on the mound like Fisher who can get away from that for a moment and give you a strong start, that's got to feel refreshing and set the tone for the whole game. Yeah,
I think it really does. And I think it also shows that Bourne wants to win this ball game.
A little ground ball to first base played by Cade Lewis, and he just beats him in time.
We've run into situations where we've seen teams this season, especially in these July weekend games, where a team hasn't put their ace up against a team that they think that they can beat. This is not the case. Bourne is putting up one of their aces in Fisher, and it's because it's pretty close in the West right now. We talk about how it's really anyone's ball game.
Parker Brocious was not there against Bourne last time out. He was really late out this year. Of course, a returning Harbor Hawk, but his summer last season in 2024 cut short due to injury. But 1 for 3 on the year. And that's in there for strike 1. For Hyannis, batting average on first pitches. And it sets the tone for really an entire inning, and that's what we
really haven't. It was that ambush tactic that we specifically saw from Matt Muir.
During tough times. But for many on Cape Cod, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. Help make sure the American dream is available to the teachers, public safety professionals, and all the other people who make the Cape a special place. Visit capehousingmatters.org to find out more.
We're down to single digits left in the game factor, and we'll take a look at the standings. First in the East, Harwich and YD tied up atop the East, and Harwich is pitching, really carrying them through, but YD, they've been there the whole season. Brewster, Orleans, and Chatham. As for the West, Wareham kind of starting to run away with it. We'll see the Gateman back on Sunday, and it's Bourne and Katuitt and Falmouth and Hyannis tied for last. But as we mentioned, because Falmouth has one more win than Hyannis, the season ended today. It'd be the Harbor Hawks who would be left out of the playoff picture. Max Stammel going out for a third inning of work, and he has done something that the Hyannis pitchers have not done all too often. He's faced the minimum in each of the first 2 innings. That's only happened 8 times in the last 4 games, Graham, and it's no surprise that the Harbor Hawks really just haven't gotten the wins done.
Yeah, it's largely too, that number I think is because the starting pitching hasn't been able to do that over the past 4 games. It's ironically been all the relievers who have had success later in the ball game, which has not been true this month. Of course, the Hyannis relievers with the worst ERA in the Cape League right now. We talked about that a bunch over the past week. So for him to get this start, it could not only carry him through his appearance, but could potentially leak into the bullpen.
John LaGrande was up when his teammate Cal Sefcik was caught stealing. And there's strike 1 from Max Stammel. Brody Briggs just continues to make an impact from behind the plate. He has thrown out so many runners this season, and I think the league just hasn't really gotten the memo yet. No one thought about it, but it's outside.
They keep trying. I think Sefcik was also testing Briggs, saying that this is his first game back from getting hit by back-to-back baseballs and having to come out of the game. But he made a statement. He's right back where he was.
Fouled over our heads. And LaGrande has been there pretty much the entire summer. 29 games, so this is game 30. Still looking for that first home run. But the average over 300. He's been a level of consistency for Bourne where they really haven't had it, let alone in the starting lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't consistent there, though. He strikes out for the 3rd strikeout of the game for Max Stammel.
That's just such a pretty procession of pitches. Starting with that high fastball, getting LaGrande to bite on one of them and then get used to seeing that high heat. And then he just goes straight to the slider and bends it right beneath the bat of John LaGrande. Max Stammel looks cool, calm, and collected. He's also finding the zone a lot early in counts, which is something that Hyannis also hasn't done a lot recently.
Mark Quattrani, the backstop for Bourne, up for the first time. And as I mentioned earlier, Bourne the worst hitting team with 2 strikes on the Cape. And of course, no numbers are going to be good when you're in a 2-strike count, but especially for a team like this, who's 3rd in the league in batting average, it's crucial to jump ahead, and Stammel has done that at least so far.
Yeah, he has, and it's been because of that pitch. That fastball is locating like nothing else that we've seen in the past week. He's just pouring it into the zone and still finding ways to dodge the bats.
Count level at 1. And a high drive to left field. Parker Brocious with room at the warning track for out number 2.
Well, there's the danger with throwing stuff over the plate all the time is Mark Quattrani might get a fastball and take it to left field, but he just got underneath it. Parker Brocious was over in the area. Stammel pitching right now like he's got a lot of confidence in the defense behind him.
Well, about an hour and a half ago, the wind was going like crazy during that thunderstorm delay that we had, but now it's pretty docile. No, not really any jet streams too severe, but historically, it's much harder to hit it out to left field than it is right in McKeon. Ryan Cooney, the number 9 man, was 1 for 4 with 2 punch-outs last time out against Hyannis. And I think the difference, at least so far through 2 2/3, Graham, is that when Stammel has fallen behind, he's gotten right back in the strike zone.
He has. That fastball, he goes to it every time he's been down.
Goes to it there, and it's a ground ball to Miles Davis. He boots it off his glove and throws to first, and it's a little bit off wide.
Miles Davis still with a bit of struggles over there, but don't forget, he spent his entire last college season at the State College of Florida as the team's DH. He really didn't play much at all in the infield, maybe just during practice. He also dealt with a couple of injuries, so he's really just trying to warm back up to playing positional baseball.
It's always an adjustment. It's interesting. Some guys, at least, they like hitting more when they're playing in the field because it takes their mind off the plate, but other guys are just so used to it, as Davis was. Maybe one of the reasons why he's also struggling at the plate. Riker, wait, take strike one.
You get used to DHing, it becomes a routine, you know, it becomes almost a lifestyle, a way of how you go through your process, your day, and now he's got to totally change it.
So the ruling is an E5 on Davis. And let's not forget, Bourne almost gave the game to Hyannis last week at Doran Park because they committed 5 errors, but the Harbor Hawks just didn't have that big hit throughout the game, and especially in that 9th inning. They had the tying run on second base as Riker Waite is hit by that pitch. Now back-to-back games against the Harbor Hawks where he's gotten hit by the baseball, and all of a sudden Bourne with a rally, 2 on and 2 down here in the 3rd.
This is kind of how it's gone for Hyannis pitching. The second one person gets on base, it all kind of starts to crumble for the pitching staff. And that's now 2 straight ball games for Hyannis hitting a batter.
Bourne 7th in the Cape League with a .243 average with runners in scoring position. 8th in OPS in that margin at .667. Kevin Kelly takes ball 1. Stammel, a fastball, changeup, slider mix. Fastball topping out at 92. And he's used it a lot tonight, and it's been successful. On a 1-0, Kelly hammers it foul off to the right, out of play.
And all of a sudden, these Bourne Braves are starting to catch up with that fastball. Second time through the order, so you might expect that, but it's been consistent ever since Quattrani had that deep fly out to Parker Brocious. They've been seeing that fastball really, really well.
Both runners go. Brody Briggs throws down to second base, and he's got victim number 2. Another caught stealing for Brody Briggs, who can do no wrong behind the plate, and that ends the top of the 3rd inning. We'll head to the bottom half with a scoreless affair. Back here at McKeon Park, we're scoreless going into the bottom of the 3rd inning, and Brody Briggs, the man of the hour, who's already caught 2 runners stealing in 2 innings, coming up to lead it off for Hyannis. It'll be 8-9-1 for Mitch Carricker, with Briggs, Devin Mitchell, and Owen Prince the top of the order looming. And for the Harbor Hawks, you get some momentum right there with the caught stealing, and you get out of a jam. Now it's the offense's job to really put some pressure, and that's something that in this month of July specifically, Graham, they just haven't been able to do it after the pitching bears down.
Yeah, they really haven't, and it feels like even when they have gotten a single to lead off an inning or a walk, nobody's been able to bring that runner home. I mean, think to yesterday. Gabe Camacho hit a single in the middle innings to lead off an inning, and then advanced to second on a wild pitch, got over to third because of a pass ball, and then nobody brought him home. They were back-to-back strikeouts and then a line drive to end the inning.
Briggs coming off a Cape League Hitter of the Week, and it was a really tough start to the year for Brody, but he has come to life as of late. 2 home runs, is second on the team behind Andrew Williamson and Chris Rembert, both of which, going back to our earlier conversation, no longer here, no longer making impacts for Mitch Carricker.
Yeah, both of those guys were really good at hitting a deep ball. So was Matt Mura. Matt Mura started to find that stroke a little bit towards the end of his time here as well. But Brody Briggs really found it before he got hit by those 2 balls.
He's ahead in the count here. 3 balls in, no strikes. And Briggs, one of those guys with a really great eye. 9 walks to 7 strikeouts. That is not easy to do.
No, it's not. And it's interesting because early on he had a lot of swing and miss stuff. But since then, he has just had total control over the plate appearances that he's had. He just looks so cool, calm, and collected. And he doesn't really expand the zone. He doesn't swing outside of what he's capable of hitting.
Briggs will be the everyday catcher at Tempe this upcoming fall at Arizona State. And there's ball 4, the first walk of the day issued for Colin Fisher.
And just a professional at bat. He looked so cool, calm, and collected the entire time. Even when he took that strike that he thought was a little bit outside, should have been a 4-pitch walk, he climbs right back into the box and takes that fastball high.
Bourne has the worst ERA in the Cape League at 4.91, the most hits allowed and the most walks allowed. And against Hyannis, at least, outside of that first game on June 19th, they've really struggled as well. It's been a tough go-around for the Braves, but they've still come on the winning side of the scorebook in those 2 games in July so far. And a lot of that is due to Hyannis just giving them the game, and we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, and there were 2 very different kinds of games. I mean, the first one you think of, that long weather delay, it ended in a 6-run win for Bourne, but most recently it was just a 1-run win over at Doran Park. They just kind of dug it out of the dirt.
Mitchell shows to bunt, and he's able to pull it back.
And since that win against Hyannis, where they only won by 1 run, it's been more of the same. Beat Falmouth yesterday by 1, beat Wareham by 1 2 days after beating Hyannis. They've just found ways to win close games, and that can be a mark of a really good team.
We talked about Miles Davis going from JUCO to Oklahoma. Devin Mitchell doing the exact same thing, but this time to NC State. But how about at JUCO this past spring, a .399 average, 56 runs scored. We'll join the Wolfpack. 2-1 inside, ball 3. And just like that, back-to-back 3-ball counts for a guy, Colin Fisher, who's really commanded the strike zone in his tenure in the Cape.
Yeah, he really did. This is the first time that he's really been tested, especially considering he pitched 5 scoreless innings with 5 Ks most recently.
Catches the inside corner. Mitchell gets the bad news, and the count runs full with Briggs on first base. Fisher, the whip at 1.286, so just a hair under 1.3. And a check over at first, and Briggs is back.
I don't want to Very objective.
Mitchell, outside of that home run in his Cape debut on July 11th against Orleans, has largely struggled. And it was impressive to see, you know, his last game at JUCO was May 30th. He's working out on the off season, but not seeing live pitching, and then he does that in his first debut, and you would figure more success to come, but that has not been the case. He's struggled. The payoff, that got inside and hit him right on that elbow guard. They'll go station to station, and the Hawks have something brewing as the order turns over for the first time tonight.
And I think the most impressive part about Mitchell now compared to when he started was he looked very swing happy. Yes, he had that incredible start where he blasted a home run against Orleans and had a 2-for-3 day. But after that, he only had 1 hit over his next 7 ball games, and he was swinging at everything, totally expanding the zone, and had back-to-back games with 3 strikeouts. There, he really didn't lift the bat off his shoulder much. He looked so much more dependent on his eye and confident in his eye.
Owen Prince shows the bunt, and he stabs at it for strike 1. Of course, a speedster at heart. 3rd in the NCAA in stolen bases at VMI. And as I mentioned earlier, yesterday with that broken bat double in Katu, it was really the first time we saw him run, and it was impressive. Shows to bunt again, pulls it back, and it gets away. A nice stop to the backstop, but Quattrani has no play. Both runners advance on the wild pitch.
Well, it's all kind of falling apart right now for Colin Fisher, showing a little bit of nerves as well. And Owen Prince, he's showing that bunt. I think that Colin Fisher, I mean, we saw the first pitch he threw was that slider, and it started right at Owen Prince. I think he went right back to it and just tried to bend it away too much.
Corners in, and there's a ball up the middle to the backhand. Cooney to first in time. Run scores. An RBI for Owen Prince, and Hyannis takes a 1-0 lead here in the third inning.
Well, we talked about defense a little bit earlier. That's good defense again. Not in his spot, but he's able to get the bat on the ball and bring across the first runner. Hyannis with a lot of success this season when scoring first. They've had a really tough time coming from behind, but that a really good sign for manager Mitch Carricker.
Well, the free passes coming back to bite Bourne with the infield in. Brocious takes way outside. Quattrani had to get out of the crouch right there. Strikeout victim back in the first inning. It was looking. The first of 2 so far for Colin Fisher. All 4 infielders with their feet on the grass. 1-0 inside. For Brocious, the power not really part of his game. Only 1 home run last spring, and he skies one to center field. John LaGrande calling, and a start and stop as the throw comes in well wide, and Devin Mitchell remains.
I would have been really surprised if they sent Devin Mitchell there. It was into the shallow outfield, and John LaGrande absolutely pumped this one. Right on the money in terms of distance, a little bit off the plate. It would have been bang bang, but Quattrani had good positioning to try to make that tag if Devin Mitchell was sent.
Jeff Luigi, for the second time tonight, he popped out in foul territory to Mark Quattrani, and that's inside for ball 1. Luigi now the team leader, at least on active Harbor Hawks, in batting average. Of course, Chris Rembert in his 5-game tenure at .429. Jackson Willits in 13 games at .366. And Luigi coming into this game through 16 at .333. Slap foul off to the left, out of play.
I think the most impressive part about Luigi's game thus far is that he's been able to get hits and get on base in games where the rest of the lineup is very, very cold. He did so yesterday against Katuitt, got 1 hit, 4 at-bats, but the rest of the lineup was ice cold.
Foul to our left, and the count level at 2. We've seen Luigi towards the back half of the lineup, towards the top, towards the middle, right here in the 3 spot. And he's been that mark of consistency that Carricker wants, and that's why he's been kind of shuffling through to see where it works in relation to everybody else. Another foul ball off to the left.
Luigi has been a consistency, though, for Mitch Carricker, always batting around 3 or 4. I think we maybe have seen him bat 5th once, but over the past week or 2, he has always been around that cleanup spot.
On a 2-2 count, he takes outside. Well, right when he got slotted in, his first game was June 29th at YD, kind of towards the back half of the order, and I guess you could say he's been a pleasant surprise for Mitch Carricker and Hyannis.
Because he didn't really play at Duke, nobody expected it from him, but he just shot out of a cannon.
Payoff, gets the call on the outside corner. And Hyannis strands one 90 feet away. They do take a 1-0 lead here in the last of the third. We head to the 4th.
When it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.
If you need to dig, lift, move, grade, clear, or cut, pump, weld, clean, light, and just about anything else, dial up the rental source for the newest and the most reliable equipment in New England. Staffed with equipment and construction experts, Milton Rents, your local source.
Back here at McKeon Park now in the top of the fourth inning, a 1-0 Hyannis lead. And Max Stammel going to pitch with the lead for the first time tonight. And the Harbor Hawks, honestly, one of the first times over the last few games that they've had a lead because they've really fallen behind. So it's going to be interesting to see the response from Stammel to the positive offense.
Yeah, the last time that they scored first was against Harwich not too long ago in terms of how many games played, but Hyannis hasn't kept a team scoreless across 3 innings for quite a while. That has been since they really blew out Chatham about a week and a half ago now. So doing this for Stammel, that is huge, not just for him, but for the team and the pitching staff that has really begun to struggle.
And we've talked about it a lot this month specifically, but it seems like whenever the offense has been on fire and firing on all cylinders, the pitching's been a little bit out of whack. And whenever the pitching's been struggling, the offense hasn't been doing what it needs to do as well, like in June. And this is kind of our first tale with 9 games left. How different is this team going to be?
Yeah, and Mitch Carricker told us, he said that the only thing he really wants to see at this point in the season is a complete game. He's felt like he's gotten 1, maybe 2 of those. It's been hard to come by.
Gavin Kelly attacks the first pitch for strike 1. Single back in the first inning. 1 of 2 hits for the Bourne Braves. But Stammel, as we mentioned, faced the minimum through the first 2. Got some traffic back in the third. But Brody Briggs gunned out his second runner in as many innings to end the inning early. We just saw the changeup right there to Gavin Kelly. Threw him way out of whack. We'll see if he stays with the soft stuff or powers him with the heater. Stammel, a later add to Hyannis, still was with the Harbor Hawks back in June. His first game was on the 25th at Brewster. As a 1-2 is in the air, foul off to the right. But I will say, Graham, at least for roster turnover from opening day to now, a lot more pitchers still here than position players.
Yeah, and a good sign for Mitch Carricker, especially considering that a lot of the really talented starters for Hyannis left. But the bullpen has been pretty consistent, which is frankly surprising why the ERA has been so high.
Fastball missing in a similar location. And a count level at 2. And he cues it foul off to the right. And not very many 3-ball counts tonight, but last night specifically, especially with Carson Yassa, the starter against Katuitt, in those first couple innings, it was a 3-ball count almost every batter, so it seemed like he was almost digging himself out of a trench. Stammel hasn't had that yet, but an important pitch right here. At 2-2, it misses away.
And it also exhausted Carson Yassa. He threw over 80 pitches in yesterday's start, so Max Stammel needs to kind of keep that pitch count low if he wants to be effective going into the 4th and 5th. He pitched to the 4th the last time that he played against these Bourne Braves, but this is the longest count that he's faced so far.
Pitch count at 41. Here's 42, and there's walk number 1 of the outing for Stammel.
We couldn't go like 3 days without
Cade Lewis, at least for the Harbor Hawks, they want him to do what he did in his first time up. Ground into a double play. Grounded into that 4-6-3 twin killing lost a bat in the process. That barrel went flying.
First time in a while that I've seen a bat totally just crumple like it did.
Yeah, that was crazy. Runner goes on the first pitch, and they got him picked off. Doby to Schaffner, and Bourne runs into their third out of the game so far.
Stamel, it looks like, just played a really good fake there. Kelly was convinced that he was set and ready to deliver, and then Stamel just looks right over at Doby, tosses that over, and there's the first out of the inning.
A 1-3-6 caught stealing. And now with one out, Lewis takes downstairs. And we've talked all season long about the free passes, but Bourne arguably even higher in those categories. There's a ground ball to shortstop, Jade Schaffner. Low throw, but a nice dig by Jace Doby. I mean, we mentioned Bourne, the most walks allowed, the most hits allowed. Of course, that's not a free pass, but a lot of those hits, you got to think, because of the fact that they're not in the strike zone, they're forced to go right down the middle, and that's going to load up the averages for the opposing bats, Graham.
Yeah, it really does, and Hyannis has done a pretty good job of working with that. I mean, no hits yet, or one hit for Hyannis. LaChance roped that double, but since then, they've just kind of been working with what the Braves have given the Hawks. I mean, a walk, a hit batsman, I think just kind of played small ball from there.
Well, one thing that has not changed, almost paradoxically, if you look at the standings, Hyannis is still the best starting pitching earned run average in the entire Cape League. And at least so far through 3 1/3, Stamel looking very strong, or 3 2/3. But the bullpen, and we've seen it explicitly against Bourne, that's been maybe the biggest, outside looking in example of where the bullpen has faltered.
Yeah, the bullpen has struggled with those free passes as well. I mean, think back to yesterday. Yasa delivered 5 walks. After that, the bullpen delivered 4 of their own. So they couldn't pick up where Yasa was struggling. They kind of just followed suit.
Up the middle, and that's into center field. A 2-out single for Holcomb, and Bourne stays alive.
The Braves just with some really good bat to ball right now. That one just kind of low in the zone, but pretty straight. Didn't have as much break as Stamel probably was looking for. And Holcomb just got it right on there. They are blowing Hyannis out of the water right now in the hit category, but it doesn't really matter if you can't bring him around.
And something that's been interesting is over the last couple of days, especially in the closer Harbor Hawks losses, they've actually out-hit their opponents. But it's been the run column largely because of all those walks, those hit by pitches, those errors that have really tallied up. In there for strike one to Drew Wires.
I think you can also look at Hyannis' recent struggles with runners in scoring position. I mean, yesterday, Hyannis hitless with runners in scoring position. They've just had such a tough time getting those clutch hits.
Hyannis was 5 for 21 with RISP on July 16th against Bourne. As Wires fouls it off himself, and a 0-2 advantage for Max Stamel. Hyannis, the best hitting team in June in average and OPS. In July, 9th in average, 9th in OPS. It's just been the tale of 2 seasons, tale of 2 months for Mitch Carricker's squad. And of course, this Western Division playoff race is so tight, but you got to think, Graham, if Hyannis didn't have the red-hot start that they did, and maybe they played 500 baseball or even below, it'd almost be like as if they can get their plane tickets home.
I kept them in the season. I mean, they played so well, they had all the pieces, and then it just disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
There's a strikeout from Stamel, and the Braves strand another. We're through 3.5 from McKeon Park as 1-0 Harbor Hawks lead.
Owning a home means you can protect your family and put down roots in a community you care about. It gives you a place to celebrate the joys of daily living and be together during tough times. But for many on Cape Cod, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. Help make sure the American dream is available to the teachers, public safety professionals, and all the other people who make the Cape a special place. Visit capehousingmatters.org to find out more.
Our hero of the game, Larry Johnson, we want to thank you for your service. And always a pleasure to host a Friday night game here at McKeon Park. The entire Cape League, the home team, wears their red in honor of those who serve. Time to compare stats between the Harbor Hawks and the Bourne Braves. The batting average is pretty similar. We mentioned Bourne third in the Cape League, Hyannis at 5 at 249, but the earn run average is also pretty much in the ballpark, 467 for Hyannis. Bourne, the Cape League worst, 489, and the records, Bourne with two more wins than the Harbor Hawks, and it seems like they've kind of had inverse start to the season. You know, Bourne really struggled early, had a hot stretch in the middle, now it's kind of faltering now. Hyannis red hot, and then they go to really struggling.
Yeah, I think the fall for Hyannis is kind of just carried through. The vibes have been down for this Harbor Hawks team. They haven't been able to build themselves back up. And I think another big piece is that Bourne has won all of its last 3 one-run games. Hyannis 3 for 6 this summer in one-run games, 2 for 5 in the month of July. So the Hawks just haven't found a way to win. Bourne is finding ways to win, even though it hasn't been pretty. Think back to the last time these two teams played. Bourne committed 5 errors and still came out with a one-run win.
And in June, it was just that the Harbor Hawks were just overpowering the other team offensively. Because even towards the end of June, the pitching kind of started to spike up a little bit, but it wasn't really a problem because the Harbor Hawks were penciling in about 10 runs every single game. And they had the Team USA guys, Miles Bailey, Chris Rembert, and Van Lackey, of course, and you lose other guys along the way like Andrew Williamson and Hayden Federico. All of a sudden, you enter July, and it's kind of a different-looking team. And then the pitching really struggles, and the offense follows, and that's kind of where we sit now with Hyannis. Last place in the Cape League, last place in the West, and if the season were to end today, they wouldn't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they wouldn't, and Hyannis also did lose a couple good arms. I mean, you think about Trey Beard, who also went to USA. He had a phenomenal beginning to his Cape League season, but, you know, these college players, they've got other things that they need to do. They've got other commitments that they need to be prepared for, like college ball.
Chase Doby is a strikeout victim back in the second against Colin Fisher. And there's strike 1. Doby, we mentioned the red-hot start for the Harbor Hawks, 4 for 4 with a walk in his first game. He has cooled down since then as he falls behind here 0-2. But he was awesome at Nevada for the Wolfpack, a .339 average, OPS over 900. He also was a two-way player. Pretty good pitching numbers, a .607 earned run average in 43 innings for the Wolfpack.
He's just an athlete. I mean, he's over playing first base and has made some incredible picks out of the dirt already in this ball game. He really is just an athlete.
1-2 is chopped foul outside the third base line. There's always that kind of running joke. Pitchers are athletes too, but I mean, all jokes aside, I think pitching is one of the most athletic things you can do. Maybe you're not able to dunk a basketball at 5'9", but you really are exerting your body and you're trying to command a small little ball with all these different movements. As Doby is out ahead of that changeup and strikes out for the second time tonight.
I think you're right. I mean, throwing it 100 miles per hour and then also getting it to break a significant amount to fool a guy and start in the same spot, it's unbelievable. And Jace Doby is a great example of how athletic one needs to be to pitch and then also, of course, hit. I mean, the fact that he did both at Nevada at the D1 level is very, very impressive.
Well, speaking of athletes, Jake Schaffner in there for the second time tonight. About 3 sports growing up, hockey, baseball, of course, and football. Right in the outside corner, 0-2. Schaffner, a Wisconsin boy through and through. An incoming UNC Diamond Heel will join his teammate on the Harbor Hawks, Sawyer Black. As the 0-2, did he go? No, he did not. Down the third base side.
Schaffner's having an unbelievable season, especially coming back from injury. It's been because of pitches like that. He's got a great eye, and he's been using it a whole lot better than he was to begin this season, laying off on a lot of those breaking pitches.
And he just gets a piece right here. And Schaffner told me a couple weeks ago when we were able to play catch together that he's looking to develop some more power in his swing. Only 2 home runs at North Dakota State this past spring, but he had that grand slam against Chatham. And in my opinion, the ball that he hit the best this season was last night in Katuitt. Unfortunately, it was an out to right center field. A nice diving grab by Caden Bogenpole of the Kettleers. But he even said that grand slam in Chatham, he said he got it off the end of the bat and it just kind of flew with the wind. That ball yesterday in Katuitt, he squared it up.
He did. He crushed it. And the grand slam ball came off his bat at 91.
Checked his swing. This one a lot closer, but he did not.
And it just kind of had that spin. I was talking to him and him and Brody Briggs about it. And they were saying that it just kind of had the right spin to float. And it just kept on carrying. He didn't think it was a home run off the bat.
Payoff. There's ball 4. Schaffner works a walk. The second base on balls of the day for Colin Fisher.
And that's so impressive right there because Schaffner was down in that count. A couple check swings on really good breaking pitches. I mean, the slider right now for Colin Fisher is looking deadly. And still he was able to fill up the count, draw that walk.
Dane LaChance, who is really heated up over the past couple games. Coming up for the second time tonight, he doubled down the left field line back in the second inning. Picked up a hit last night in Katuitt, and it was good to see him remain in that game and, of course, start this game because he kind of twisted his ankle rounding first base last night and gingerly went through the rest of that game. But he's a trooper in that right-handed batter's box. Checked to swing on a ball downstairs.
And he's become a pretty important part of the offense. Hits in both of his last 2 games, roped a double to begin his appearance in this ball game. He's really finding a groove right now that wasn't there to begin the season.
1-0, a big swing and a miss. And he is a prolific power hitter. He's an incoming transfer at Oklahoma. But how about 21 home runs in 66 games at JUCO? That's almost a home run every 3 games.
Yeah.
Check over at first, and Schaffner is back.
And he had unbelievable RBI numbers to go along with it, as you might expect, hitting 21 home runs. But he also drew 30 walks, struck out 34 times. So he's got a pretty good eye to go along with the fact that he's got a good bat.
Another check over at first base. Schaffner drawing a lot of attention, and it's worth noting it's in Hyannis' best interest to put runners on base because it takes just that much more attention off of the hitter at the plate, and he might float one over the plate, and you know, Dane LaChance can get into it. Schaffner runs, and the pitch is launched to left. Deep and high. Will it stay fair? It's a foul ball.
Well, he absolutely smoked this one. Low in the zone, golfed it out, but man, it just curled foul. He was watching it the whole time, knew it was gone if it was fair, and it just curls away.
Well, kind of right on cue. That ball was gone off the bat, but unfortunately the wind not able to keep it in. And a 2-strike count to LaChance. Schaffner was running on that pass pitch. He's not this time, and he's got to dive back. Really giving Colin Fisher a lot of trouble over there.
Yeah, Fisher with a lot to think about right now. And Schaffner, not necessarily a guy that's going to steal a lot. He's only stolen 3 bags this season. He's been caught twice. But still, Fisher unsettled by him over at first.
Big lead for Schaffner. And the pitch is golfed down the left field line. He's out ahead once more. But there you see the curveball floated over the plate. Just out ahead.
Yeah, back-to-back pitches where he's just kind of been out ahead. The first one was a fastball. That time he was well ahead of the curve. But, man, he's hitting it well. He's getting a lot of bat on the ball.
Another check at first. Schaffner back. And it's these opportunities for Hyannis that have not been converted on during this month of July as a whole. Among the lower runners in scoring position numbers, and especially with runners on base, the Harbor Hawks, it seems like they've been able to get hits, but once they get to second base, nothing going for them.
Yeah, it's been kind of uncanny. Just they go flat a little bit the second someone gets in scoring position.
Another throw over to first, and of course, no disengagement rule on the Cape. LaChance has not seen a pitch in about a minute, despite the pitch clock. Schaffner's running, and the pitch is golfed up the middle. That's into center field. Jake is just going to keep on going. He goes first to third, and LaChance stays hot. He's halfway to the cycle. And Miles Davis coming up.
Well, a really well-designed hit and run. LaChance knew he had to get the bat on the ball, and he just went fishing, was able to get something. And man, the offensive design is working beautifully right now for Mitch Carricker.
Miles Davis, another guy from JUCO, going to transfer to Oklahoma like LaChance on first base. So some future teammates there, but teammates here on the Cape. Davis grounded out back his first time up. With Schaffner on third, LaChance on first, and a chopper back to the mound. Jake is coming home. The throw is wide. Schaffner scores. LaChance heads to third. And another costly error for Bourne.
Well, that's why you send the runner. Fisher just got a little bit anxious. He had plenty of time, but just didn't think he did, and launched it.
He probably threw that about 10 miles an hour harder than he needed to. Schaffner was dead to rights, with even maybe a underhand flip. So a 2-0 Hyannis lead. Now here in the last of the fourth inning. Miles Davis, who's actually on first base now, and it's Brody Briggs. Briggs scored the first run of the game for Hyannis. Walk back in the third inning. The runner's at the corners. He reaches for it and pokes it to third. LaChance is coming home. The only play's at first. And another run comes home for the Harbor Hawks.
They're just playing some small ball right now. Doing a really good job of getting these batters home, although it hasn't been the prettiest. A sack hit from Owen Prince back in the third. Brought home the first run of the ball game in Brody Briggs, and then a little bit more of the same.
So Briggs picks up an RBI, and Davis, the only Harbor Hawk left on the bases for Devin Mitchell. Went inside. Mitchell was hit by a pitch back in this third inning, and kind of an uncharacteristic wild spell for Colin Fisher, who's now 75 pitches deep, 42 strikes. Wild pitches, errors, and another game that's just not been clean for Bourne against the Harbor Hawks. I mean, back on July 16th at Doran Park, the Braves committed 5 errors in the field, but Hyannis still not able to come out on the winning side.
Yeah, they just kind of figured it out. It was late in those innings. Bourne just scratched off a few runs thanks to Hyannis walks largely, but they just played some good baseball.
1-2 inside. And I guess it was kind of a preview of what we saw back in the third inning with the wild spell starting with that walk to Brody Briggs. But here, the wheels are kind of coming off for Colin Fisher. Of course, only one walk in this frame as Mitchell takes outside, but the air all kind of snowballing and almost very reflective of the way Hyannis has played baseball during this month of July. 2 runs home for the Harbor Hawks in this inning, a 3-0 lead. Davis on second. Payoff is hooked, foul out ahead over by the Hyannis dugout. And we've seen a lot in this inning, Graham. At least the Harbor Hawks hitters out ahead, but these breaking balls catching a big part of the plate. And ever since Schaffner's on first base, as Mark Rachwani will go out and speak with his southpaw Colin Fisher, it's almost as if Fisher's taken too much attention off of the hitter and on the base runner, and he's getting kind of lackadaisical with his pitch location.
Yeah, he checked over on Schaffner about 4 or 5 times. And like you're right, the curveballs are being hit really hard right now by the Hawks. They're absolutely cracking it, just a little bit ahead, but still, he's not putting it off the plate. They're all kind of over the heart. I'd like to see him start one over the center and let it dive to home plate. If it misses, or if the batter doesn't bite, go to the fastball in a similar spot, blow it by him.
Payoff to Mitchell. Downstairs for ball 4. Second walk of the inning, 3rd in total for Fisher. And that'll flip it over for the top of the order, Owen Prince.
Everyone else in the West Division is winning.
And this will induce a mound visit. This could be the day for Colin Fisher, who's had a streak of wildness here in the 4th inning. Entire infield on the mound now. There is action in the Bourne bullpen. Right-hander throwing down there. And they're going to stick with Fisher.
Well, he needs one more out to go a pretty good 4 innings. He went 5 against Falmouth in his last start. This one not nearly as clean, but I'm sure that Bourne looking for him to get to at least that 4th inning so that they can stay on their original game plan.
Owen Prince, an opportunity of a lifetime, and he's already plated a run this game, an RBI ground out in the 3rd with 2 on, and there's strike 1. So the first pitch out of the mound visit, a strike, and almost a sigh of relief for the Bourne dugout. 81 pitches, 45 strikes for Fisher. So almost split. Look back at Davis. Now the 0-1. Outside for ball 2, and Prince jumps ahead. At least back in the 1st and 2nd inning, it seemed like Fisher had pretty consistent command of the strike zone early in at-bats. But back in the 3rd is where it started, and now here in the 4th, it's really kind of fallen apart where he's just not able to stay in at-bats consistently.
Yeah, 2 walks. Now he's down 3-1. This inning has not treated him nicely. Think back, though, to the error that he had trying to get Schaffner as he came to home plate. That could have sent him into a bit of a spiral, because after that, it's just been all over the place.
3-1. In there. Prince still yet to steal a bag this summer. Of course, he got here about a week and a half ago. Not a lot of opportunities yet, but he has put the speed on display yesterday. Runners go on the full count, and it's grounded softly to Fisher, and he takes a tumble. as Prince reaches.
Well, Bourne just kind of getting unlucky in every single way right now, especially Colin Fisher. This kind of feels like all of Hyannis' misfortunes being repaid to them in one inning, which, of course, if you're the Hawks, you're going to take every time, but at the same time, you don't want to use it all up because they have a good lead right now, and the pitching has looked phenomenal.
Parker Brocious with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And this might be the day for Colin Fisher. They might have given him the leash for Owen Prince, but another mound visit. And it looks like they're going to make a move to the bullpen. He's already running out here. A reluctant Fisher gives high fives to his teammates and held apart. We'll meet the new pitcher on the other side of this break.
You can make any bat feel lighter by adding a velo puck knob. Instead of having to go get a whole entirely new bat, you can simply add the puck to it. Players can use this with any bat. It's basically going to shift the weight of the bat a little bit more towards the hands. Players are able to hit the ball a lot harder just by simply adding the puck on.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
The new arm for the Braves is Jackson Baker, only making his second appearance of the Cape League. Just 1 inning pitched. It was a clean one, 1 strikeout, and no runners allowed. And he is inheriting a tough situation. Hyannis has the bases loaded with 2 outs. 2 runs already home for the Harbor Hawks in this inning alone. But Davis on third, Mitchell on second, Prince on first. And keep that in mind with Prince's speed. If anything gets to the gaps, it might clear him.
It very well could. I mean, he's got unbelievable speed, and right now, Hyannis' bats are working really well. It's going to be a tough scenario for Fisher, for the new pitcher, Baker, to come into. The Fisher left him, but he had pretty good numbers this last season at USC. 4.18 ERA over 15 appearances, 5 of them starts. He struck out 23 and walked 20. So he's got good stuff, but a lot of his stuff is weak contact. So if that weak contact is just poked into the right spot, Parker Brocious could have a couple RBIs and Hyannis could have a couple more runs.
Baker's got a sinker that sits at 94, and I mean, you mentioned it, Graham, those 20 walks, that was his problem for Andy Stankiewicz and the Trojans. And in a game that's already featured a good amount of walks, at least for Bourne, 3 walks through the first 3+ innings. It could get messy quick here in Hyannis.
Parker. Clear the bags here.
Brocious takes strike 1. There's that slider from coast to coast, the inside of the plate to the outside. Left fielder Cal Sefcik shaded towards left center, so a big gap down the left field line. Well away.
This is a much different look for these hitters. Fisher was a lefty, Baker a righty. That's the first time in a while, maybe in the entire season, that we've seen Hyannis put more righties in the lineup than lefties.
Hyannis 9th in the Cape League with a .223 average with RISP. As Brocious fouls it into the mid of Quatrani.
Come on, Parker.
1-2, back up the middle, and it hits off Baker and deflects into left field. Davis scores. Here comes Mitchell. The throw goes into second, and it gets away. Another run comes home as Owen Prince is in safely. The bases are cleared, and Hyannis takes a 6-0 lead.
Well, it wasn't exactly a traditional way to clear the bases, but one that Parker Brocious will most definitely take. Right off the back leg of Jackson Baker, and then that was just a big mistake. Throwing it off the mark, allowing that pretty much free run to come home in Owen Prince.
Kind of, I guess the best way to put it, this inning, a series of unfortunate events for Bourne.
Yeah, they're having a bad one.
First pitch to Jeff Luigi in there for strike one. Luigi was 0 for 2 with the punch out against the starter Cal Fisher.
So maybe you should do that more.
On an 0-1, Luigi takes down in the dirt. Nice stop by Quattrani. That'll keep Brocious at bay. So the ruling is obviously a single for Parker Brocious, but the third run in Owen Prince coming in on the air. So Brocious only picks up 2 ribbies on the hit. At the top of the zone.
Oh, no.
And at least at USC for Baker, when he consistently found the strike zone, he was lights out. But it was about finding the zone, which was tough and reflective of the way Bourne's season has gone, reflective of the way Hyannis' season has gone. Lots of firepower on the mound, but it's about finding the strike zone on a consistent basis. 1-2 down low.
I think that's a great example, that pitch. Ahead 1-2, you've got a good chance to kind of put something in the zone and move it away to get a swing and a miss, but that one was just pretty uncompetitive. Started outside, finished outside, and Luigi just never took the bat off the shoulder.
On a 2-2, Luigi takes a fastball upstairs. Chase Doby, who struck out to open this inning, waiting on deck. And he'll get a second at-bat in this frame. First walk for Jackson Baker, and we mentioned 20 at USC and limited playing time. And Chase Doby going to try to not make 2 outs in 1 inning with 2 on and 2 down. A 6-0 Hyannis lead.
And that's a very frustrating walk. Baker was up 1-2 in the count and then just never found the zone afterwards. Never found a pitch that Luigi would swing at.
We've been following. Let's go, Doby.
And for Baker, Graham, we keep coming back to it. That pitch right there, it's non-competitive. He was ahead in the count 0-1. And then you have the wipeout slider, which if he were to start it in the strike zone, would still end up a ball, but at least entice the hitter. That one started off the plate already.
Yeah, and you're basically restarting fresh. There's no way that you can use that last pitch.
On a 1-1, Doby, a wild swing, and he falls down to one knee. Strikeouts in each of his first 2 at-bats tonight for the Nevada Wolfpack. 1-2 is through the right side. That's into right field.
That's through. That's a run.
Brocious comes around to score, and Hyannis continues to pour it on here in the 4th.
They've just kind of manufactured hits. That one low in the zone, kind of away, and Doby's still able to get bat on ball and bring around Parker Brocious. We saw a couple of hits like that, not that necessarily, but a couple of hits that were in on the hands, and Hyannis just fought it off to the right spot. They're playing some really good defense right now.
Jake Schaffner, who worked that long, lengthy walk earlier this inning, takes upstairs. Baker continues to not find the zone early. 7-0 Harbor Hawks the advantage now here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And another pitch well up and away.
And the batter's still just messing with the Bourne pitching right now. I mean, Jeff Luigi is dancing over at second base and making Baker take an extra pause.
On a 2-0, Schaffner gets out of the way. So those are 3 misses right there from Jackson Baker. Tried the slider, goes back to the fastball. Just nothing going for him. Figure Schaffner probably taking on this pitch with the firepower. Dayton LaChance on deck. And there is ball 4, not all too close. That's a 4-pitch walk on 4 non-competitive misses. And the bases are loaded once again. This time with Dayton LaChance coming up to the plate for the 2nd time this inning.
That's already the 5th walk of the day for Bourne pitching. It has just been a struggle to find the zone.
Well, LaChance hit 2 balls that easily cleared 400 feet this inning. Unfortunately for Hyannis, both of them foul. So it would be an opportune time to straighten it out here. As we mentioned, 21 home runs in 66 games at JUCO this past spring.
And JUCO's good baseball. You've talked about this a lot, Max. JUCO is kind of overlooked, but it's a great spot for a lot of these players who aren't recognized as highly coming out of high school. And Dayton LaChance, I think, a great example of that.
I mean, some of the best JUCOs could be compared to the solid mid-majors for D1 baseball. Bases flocked with Hawks. Luigi at 3rd, Doby on 2nd, Schaffner on 1st. First pitch is a chopper, foul outside the 3rd base line.
And LaChance just continues to make contact. He's done so all day long and has resulted in 2 hits for him. But almost all of his strikes have come on foul balls. He is just doing such a good job of getting the bat on it.
Downstairs for ball 1. And when Bourne and Jackson Baker jump ahead, it's back to those misses, not all too close. And it's really amplified in an inning where Hyannis has put up a crooked number. Kind of a long time coming offensive explosion for a Harbor Hawks offense that has been radio silent. 1-1, a wild swing and a miss.
The thing, though, Max, is that still Hyannis hasn't gotten the big hit. We've been talking about how they haven't gotten that big one yet. It's just been a lot of singles, a lot of walks, and then a couple mistakes from Bourne. They're still yet to get the big one.
Looking for that hit here, but in a 2-strike count. Count level at 2. Hyannis 9th in the Cape League with a .223 average with runners in scoring position. On a 2-2, LaChance smokes it foul off to the right. We'll do it again.
I've been impressed, not just in this game, but throughout his first couple of starts with LaChance's 2-strike approach. He does a pretty good job shortening up, but still gets a lot of power on it. I mean, we saw with that foul ball, that was sent down the first base side.
2-2 is hooked down the left field line. That's a fair ball. Luigi has scored. Here comes Doby. Jake Schaffner's getting the wave all the way from first. It's a bases clearing double for Dayton LaChance, and Hyannis pours salt in the wound here in the 4th inning. A 10-0 Harbor Hawks lead. Well, he hit it hard. He hit it off the screws. And most importantly, Graham, he kept it fair.
That's the big hit that we've been waiting for, Max. Said that they've been close. And a big double. I think if LaChance didn't roll that ankle yesterday, he might have been able to stretch that into 3 because he was pretty gingerly still running around first base.
Miles Davis looking to make an impact. He reached on that E1. My goodness, my scorebook is a nightmare right now. Davis takes strike 2.
The last time that these two teams were here, we kind of saw this explosion early on from Hyannis, not to this capacity, but the Hawks really jumped on the Bourne Braves before the weather delay. It was that break that really killed them, but the Hawks are no stranger to this kind of explosion against this team.
Well in, and the count moves to 1-2. And this game almost kind of what we saw from the Harbor Hawks pretty consistently back in June, and it just feels like a lot of tension lifted off the shoulders of Hyannis and the frustrations of the last couple weeks coming out on that swing. A chopper to second base, Ryan Cooney. Finally ends the nightmare inning for Bourne, but Hyannis enjoyed a 9 spot here in the 4th inning and a 10-0 Harbor Hawks lead as we head to the 5th.
This is where you will join a community that supports you, cares about you, pushes you, cheers you on, challenges you, inspires you, helps you reach your dreams. Open your eyes to opportunity and your mind to possibility. Your future begins here.
Make a difference.
Leave your mark.
Break the mold.
Be a leader.
Achieve unimagined heights.
Believe in yourself.
Make lifelong friends.
This is your time.
Your place.
Your home. Your Dean.
It all starts here at Dean College.
Well, in case you might have forgotten, Max Stammel going for Hyannis. He literally probably hasn't thrown a pitch in over 40 minutes. And he's going to face 6, 7, 8 for Bourne. Cal Sefcik, John LaGrande, Mark Petrani. Everybody gets on Ryan Cooney a chance. And Graham, you got to figure this is going to be important in inning because this is where we've really circled in on when the offense is hot. The pitching hasn't been there in July. This is the inning for Max Stammel to prove us wrong.
It really is, and Stammel, with that long break, is going to have a tough time locking into a tough part of the order because it's been so long. He's basically got to re-warm up right now for the Hyannis, for this Hyannis team. The bats, when it was quick 3 up, 3 down innings for both sides, and Stammel was consistently on the mound, he was dealing really, really well. So this first pitch, this first at bat against Sefcik is going to be very telling.
Well, Sefcik picked up a run, or rather a base hit back in the 2nd inning, and Harbor Hawks are only out hitting Bourne 5-4, but they're up 10-0. And that was an inning that was made possible from free passes. Of course, Hyannis finally had the big hits. They cleared the bases twice, Parker Brocious and Dayton LaChance. But it's been a long time coming because in the month of July, Hyannis has not capitalized on when the opponents have given them stuff for free.
Yeah, 4 walks in that last half inning, 2 errors to go along with it. It was really, really messy. And Hyannis already with 11 chances with runners in scoring position. They've capitalized on 4 of them. But just seeing that number in double digits is refreshing for this team.
Well, those warm-up pitches for Max Stammel definitely important just to get back in his rhythm. I mean, that was over a 30-minute inning. On a 2-1, there's a liner to shortstop, Jake Schaffner, nice pick. And a throw to first is in time.
Well, after yesterday's ball game with a couple infield errors, Jake Schaffner has done a beautiful job over at shortstop. Played that one on a really odd hop. He kind of got caught in no man's land, deciding whether to go forward and get it on the line or to dump back and get an easy hop.
You mentioned, Graham, an odd hop. That was the feared in-between hop in baseball. You want it on the long hop or the short hop. Schaffner didn't really have a choice there, and that just shows how hard fielding is because you have to make those split-second decisions on how you want to approach a baseball, and Schaffner unfortunately just didn't have the time to try to get that one on the short hop, which was probably his best option besides what he got, the in-betweener. And that's one of those plays that didn't look that hard, but I'm telling you, that was a difficult play. Grande falls behind 0-2.
And his glove hand, his left hand, was sunk all the way back behind his body. He couldn't even get his body in front of it like you might see on a low skipper. He just had to fully, like you said, play that ball, play it how it was given to him. And what a play to make.
0-2 to LeGrande. Woo, up and in. A strikeout victim against Stammel in the third. One of 4 punchies for the southpaw on the hill. Nobody actively warming up in the Bourne bullpen. And 1-2 is a fastball up.
It's a good pitch. Stammel's fastball has been there all ball game for him. And that high fastball has retired a couple of batters already. That time, LeGrande just didn't bite.
2-2 in the air to center field. Nice read from Owen Prince. Well, 2 away. Mark Quattrani coming up, and as we mentioned earlier, coming into this game, Hyannis has only faced the minimum 4 times in the last 8 games. Stammel in the first 2 frames did that, but how huge would it be here, Graham, after the beginning for that to continue? Mark Quattrani standing between that possibility. Fly out back in the 3rd inning, although he gave it a ride on a fastball left over the plate from Stammel. Very deep, and Brocious made the catch right at the warning track. First pitch, Bender, away.
It would be huge not just for pitching to get this 3-up, 3-down inning, but also for the bats. Get them back up quick when they're hot. A couple hits in that inning, and a big double that we saw at the very end from LaChance.
And another high try to left field. Brocious a late read towards the warning track, and in pretty much the same location as the 3rd inning, he makes the catch and does just that. We're halfway through with a 10-0 Harbor Hawks lead, but we'll keep it right where we are as we're joined by Ethan Wax sideline. Ethan.
Thanks, Max. The Harbor Hawks team, which started out 8-3 and seemed on a path to defending its Western Division title, is literally and figuratively unrecognizable. Plagued by the losses of numerous key players, the Hawks have gone 4-13-2 since their fast start, and hopes of repeating have been replaced by merely trying to simply qualify for the playoffs, with Wareham, after winning 10 of the last 11 games, separating itself from the rest of its 11 games, separately itself from the rest of the pack. The remaining 4 teams, separated by just 3 points in the standings, are literally ready to battle until the end of the season. Since the Cape Cod League has no play-in games, tiebreakers could come into play to determine who goes to the playoffs and who stays at home. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head results. Hyannis would win the tiebreaker against Falmouth, as their 3-0 record has already clinched the season series, while it has lost the series to Katuitt. The Hawks have won 2 of the last 3 games against tonight's opponents, Bourne, but if Bourne prevails tonight, it would tie the season series. The next tiebreaker would be record in game versus division, and a loss for the Hawks tonight would bring that into play. Bourne is currently 8-6 versus 7-7 for the Hawks, with the Hawks likely to only win the tiebreaker versus Falmouth. The margin for error is getting increasingly thin. Now back to the booth, guys.
Thanks very much, Ethan. And yeah, I got to say, the Harbor Hawks at least looking for this game as a momentum changer, because, you know, you figure back on July 9th when they got that win against Falmouth, after that miserable loss in the 8th to Bourne, it seemed like it kind of changed things. As I'm joined by Giovanni Collada, we want to thank you, Graham Nash, for joining us earlier. But the Harbor Hawks, of course, this game's not over. They got to finish this game out, and if they come out on the win, they got to use this, Gio.
There may be a couple of teams on the Cape in recent memory where a 10-run lead doesn't feel as safe as it should, and that's been the case for Hyannis just off the last couple of games of play, Max. But then again, 10 is a pretty comfortable cushion.
Brody Briggs takes downstairs from Jackson Baker, and he continues just to miss the strike zone early.
And to that point, Max, of using this explosive performance to Hyannis' advantage, we saw at the end of last week before the All-Star break what a couple of explosive wins in a row have done for the Harbor Hawks. And who knows, without that 2-day break, what Hyannis would have done with those couple of wins in a row before the 3-game losing streak that looks like it's going to be broken tonight. So the All-Star break really had an effect on Hyannis as it comes into this week pivotally out of a playoff spot.
1-1 count coming up to Brody Briggs. Well up and away, and Jackson Baker misses once more. Both Briggs' at-bats productive. A walk back in the 3rd inning. He came around and scored, and then an RBI ground out in the 4th. On a 2-1. Briggs takes up and away. And these are the middle innings, at least last time out against Bourne on the 16th, that Mitch Carricker credit to why they lost that game. And for Hyannis to have a stronger middle innings is really going to turn that narrative on its head right here, Gio, especially with the momentum of the 10-0 cushion. And that's ball 4.
And this is a welcome surprise for Mitch Carricker. Obviously, he knows his team is capable of exploding 4 runs like this, but 9 runs in one frame is remarkable for any team on the Cape, no matter how well it's been playing. And to revisit that point, Max, about those middle innings on the 16th, 3 of the 8 strikeouts came in innings 5, 6, 7. You stretch it back to inning number 3, that ups to 5 of the 8 for Hyannis' offense, coming in those middle innings when Bourne took the lead.
And there for strike 1 to Devin Mitchell. And I guess for Bourne, they do have action in the bullpen, but it's kind of just get outs right here time. It's nothing about being fancy as Baker continues to miss. And that's really all you can do in this situation. But, I mean, I will say, of course, the Harbor Hawks most likely to win this game, but no lead is safe considering the way that these two teams have played specifically this year.
Just as easily as Hyannis took the lead with that 9-run frame, Bourne could do so because of, Max, as you mentioned, the fact that Hyannis has given so many free passes to teams, especially of late. You know, you look at the 6 walks that Hyannis has worked, they've all come from the 3rd inning or later as we're in the 6th.
Checked his swing on a ball down low. Did he go? Yes, he did. Mitchell very surprised, and there's out number 1.
Well, Baker goes down low and away. Mitchell thought about it on the breaking ball and just barely eclipsed the plate.
Top of the order, Owen Prince. Already for the 4th time tonight here in the 5th inning. Prince, of course, a single back in the 4th inning, and then he came around to score on that chaotic Parker Brocious single off of Jackson Baker. And then there was that errant throw that allowed Brocious to get over to second base. Brocious waiting on deck. Just the freebies really piling up for Bourne. And let's not forget, Gio, while they did take the game against Hyannis on the 16th, they committed 5 errors in the field.
It's not like they haven't committed free passes, as you mentioned, Max, but 10 may just be insurmountable.
No, it is not.
1-1 to Prince is well upstairs.
And we mentioned that Bourne can just as easily come back into this game because you don't need all 9 runs in one, or rather all 10 runs in one frame. Of course, you can't let it get to the top of the 7th with your back against the wall, but it's doable.
Up and away, ball 3. A 9 spot in the 4th inning for Hyannis. And trying to play off that momentum here in the 5th. 3-1 to Prince.
Yeah, I'm
is nowhere close. Ball for him. Second walk of the inning alone for Jackson Baker.
Well, Baker's really struggling, but Owen Prince has really come into his own here in this game, Max. Couple of ground outs, one of them an RBI to start the game. We see how he took advantage of his speed on that single in the fourth to come across for run number 6, scoring all the way from first base with the help of an error, of course, but that blistering speed pigeonholes outfielders and infielders into making throws they probably wouldn't otherwise.
And this might do it for Jackson Baker, and yep, they're bringing in a new pitcher. Baker still now leaving the mound. We'll meet the new pitcher on the other side of this break.
Owning a home means you can protect your family and put down roots in a community you care about. It gives you a place to celebrate the joys of daily living and be together during tough times. But for many on Cape Cod, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. Help make sure the American dream is available to the teachers, public safety professionals, and all the other people who make the Cape a special place. Visit capehousingmatters.org to find out more.
Well, Jackson Baker was not effective for Bourne. It's Matthew Sapienza, the new pitcher, making his first appearance of the Cape League summer. And for Baker, it was just marred by free passes, and now an opportunity for Hyannis with Briggs on second, and you got Speed and Prince at first base.
Just 2/3 of an inning for Jackson Baker with the line yet to be finalized. He allows 4 of the 10 runs on 3 hits, 4 walks of those free passes, Max, along with a strikeout and an error going against his register from his defense. And his defense didn't help him out at all, but make no mistake that Jackson Baker worked himself into this trouble that he faced throughout that inning, and now it's Matthew Sapienza's mess to clean up here in the bottom of the 5th.
Sapienza coming off a tough year at Georgetown. How about an 0-6 record in 17 games, 6 starts, a 9.53 earned run average through 34 innings, and that whip over 2.2, and kind of more of the same. The walks per 9 at 6, the hits per 9 at 14.3. So it's going to be a tough one for Bourne.
14.3 is wild in terms of walks per 9. Just shows that there's a bit of wildness to Sapienza's location on the zone. And with a Hyannis team, especially with this part of the order coming up, with Jeff Luigi having walked to score a run in this game, as has Jake Schaffner, if Parker Brocious can extend this inning as he did the last one, it could be more trouble on the way for Sapienza and Bourne.
First summer ball action since 2022 for Sapienza. I was with Sanford of the NECBL.
As was Owen Prince with the Martinsville Mustangs, so one of a couple of guys across the Cape League that's coming up from other summer leagues to finish out this season.
Prince was with the Mustangs this summer, however. Sapienza back in 2022. And especially towards once the NECBL season ends, then you see a lot of those guys come in towards the playoff time for the Cape League. And they're for strike 1.
The interesting thing about that, though, Max, is that we didn't see Owen Prince really catch fire until recently. Went hitless in his first game on the 16th against Bourne, then 2 hits against Chatham on the 17th, and since then only 1 hit in this game, but now he comes into this game having made a serious impact and looking like he could.
And a liner to center field. That's in front of John LaGrande. Brody Briggs is held up at third base. The throw goes in that direction. They go station to station as the bases are loaded once more.
A case in point right here with Parker Brocious getting hot at the right time. Deposits that fastball into center field on maybe his best piece of hitting of the night, and that's with the single in the 4th inning that brought home 2 RBIs, Max. Really impressive stuff from Brocious, who now just feels like in his return to Hyannis, he's starting to come alive and go back into the fold.
Well, Hyannis turning a leaf so far in this game, at least offensively. After last night in Katuitt, they were shut out for the first time this summer through 31 games. Take that, says the Harbor Hawks tonight.
I was about to say, somewhat of a coincidence that it comes the game after being shut out. Maybe shows a bit of that frustration that was eminent after last night's 11-0 loss.
Down low. And Hyannis, at least after wins, and it's been a while for the Harbor Hawks, their batting average at 257, OPS at 721. That's third in the Cape League. So to kind of rekindle that offensive success, they need to get back in the winning column. An opportunity, of course, here tonight, Gio. Luigi takes a fastball in.
But that average, Max, of games following a loss is what's so shocking for Hyannis, is that it's not all that different. And that's just evident of the fact that free passes have been the #1 perpetrator of Hyannis' difficult month of July.
Rio to Luigi, take it all the way, and that's ball 4. They'll walk in a run. 11-0 the lead for the Harbor Hawks.
This is what's been so absent from this month for Hyannis, Max. The ability to take what an opponent is giving them, at least at the plate for sure. And Hyannis has done that remarkably well tonight.
Well, the Hyannis dugout most certainly in better spirits tonight than they have been really over the last couple of weeks. Chase Doby takes away. He had 2 at-bats back in the 4th inning. He struck out to open that frame. So that 9 spot started on an out and then comes back up, picks up an RBI single about 35 minutes later. 1-0 he takes, gets the call.
35 minutes is maybe putting it lightly, Max. It felt like forever for Jace Doby, but even the next out, which came 4 batters later for Brody Briggs, or rather 3 batters later, it was an RBI, just showing how effective Hyannis was in that inning.
Back to the breaking ball, and there's strike number 2. As mentioned, a 14.3 hits per 9 this past spring at Georgetown for a guy who was in and out of the starting rotation. On a 1-2, Doby spits on one down low.
And the weird thing is, Max, while Sapienza struggled a bit with walks coming into this game, of course it's his first appearance out of Georgetown, Bourne, he's exhibiting some of the same problems that plagued the first 2 Bourne pitchers in Colin Fisher, the lefty, and Jackson Baker, the righty. Going for low spots and missing.
Ball 3 outside. Back-to-back 3-ball counts since coming into this game for Matt Sapienza. Nowhere to put Jace Doby with Prince at third, Brocious on second, and Jeff Luigi on first. The payoff. Shot back up the middle. Second baseman Cooney flips to second for 1. The throw to first is in time. 4-6-3 they go as Hyannis not able to convert any further. They do grab another run. They take an 11-0 lead as we head to the 6th.
If you can dream it, if you can cruise in it, if you can summer in it, fish from it, or take it for a day at the beach, we can protect it. The Baldwin Group, protecting the possible.
There's been a ton of training when it comes to bat speed, or products for players to be able to train bat speed. You can improve your bat speed and reach your goals working 10 to 15 minutes a day on this a couple of times a week. That's a no-brainer for every player.
Cape Cod 5 is proud to be the official banking partner of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Cape Cod 5 offers a broad range of financial products and services tailored for every stage in your financial journey. Reach out to us. We're here to help.
Hey Harbor Hawks fans, did you know the NAC Cape Cod is the official Light Up the Park sponsor of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks all season long? Thanks to the NAC, the lights at McKeon Park stay bright all summer as the future stars take the field. With 2 convenient locations in Orleans and Hyannis, the Knack is the perfect spot for a burger, taco, sandwich, and much more. Visit theknackcapecod.com to learn more or order online. Well, after a very strong start for Max Stammel, he has departed and gives way to Chris Diaz. Stammel, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk and 4 strikeouts, and he lowers his ERA from the 5 range back down to low 3.3. And Diaz, very limited playing time, only 4 innings pitched, but he's been lights out.
He sure has, with a fastball, Max, that has really worked well for the righty. That's the pitch he's leaned on most heavily this season. It sits 91, 93, been as high as 94 this season. He also mixes in a slider, curveball, and changeup to tunnel with that fastball that he uses most often. This is a guy, Max, that's got a couple appearances, or rather a couple of complete games at Florida Gulf Coast this past spring. 24 total innings in his three starts from April 26th to May 9th, where he picked up 2 wins. And that number, very indicative of the length that he brings. Mitch Carricker hoping that Diaz doesn't come out of this game as it ends after 7.
Ryan Cooney, the first hitter to face Diaz. And of course, I guess the goal for Mitch Carricker, just ride Diaz out should they hold on. Cooney, I mean, we're about an hour and 56 minutes in. He's only been up to the plate once this game. He chops the first pitch to Schaffner on the nice high hop this time. The throw to the diamond is low.
He got him. He got
and
him.
Jay Stobie is owed dinner. Nice pick at first base. Take a look at that. Who's that Harbor Hawks answer? And it's Jordan Westberg, so I was actually wrong, but now I realize I did know that.
Our producer, Charlie Adams, can testify. I got this answer in about 5 to 7 seconds.
Ryan Mountcastle.
That's who Max was thinking?
I wasn't confident in that, D-Bot. Riker Waite batting from the left side for the first time tonight.
Got a lot of cousins in Maryland that are Oriole fans and probably would have been disappointed in me if I didn't get Jordan Westberg there.
It's actually negative aura.
Riker Waite, I mean, let's not forget back on July 16th, he was halfway to the cycle and he completed the 2 hardest ones. He had the home run and then the triple. Not as much success here. He was hit by a pitch, though. It's upstairs.
Oddly enough, before Hyannis surged into this commanding lead it has, the 2 games that we were just talking about where Riker Waite hit that 2-run home run early in that game really changed its complexion with that swing. After a somewhat similar start with a couple of scoreless frames exchanged between these teams to begin things off. And that's, Max, kind of what we've seen Hyannis do in this game, where a couple of swings have maybe turned around the rest of the season for the Harbor Hawks.
On a 2-2, Waite swings and misses strike 3. The first strikeout victim of the appearance for Chris Diaz.
Said the fastball was his go-to pitch, but there it's the breaking ball that works so well for him. Riker Waite's got the power. He's shown it against Hyannis this season. Tried to get Bourne back into this game with 1 swing of the bat, and Diaz fooled him out ahead.
Gavin Kelly walked back in the 4th inning. A lot of these guys, of course, the bottom of the 4th is where Hyannis exploded, coming up to the plate for the first time in well over an hour. And you got to think that could definitely take a hitter out of their rhythm.
As much as that inning affected Hyannis starter Max Stammel, where he doesn't pitch for 35, 40 minutes, now he's got to get himself back into a groove retowing the rubber. Same thing for the hitters, and to a greater extent.
1-1. Wild swing and a miss.
Oof. Chris Diaz bringing out the bender. Man, oh man.
Yeah, that's what you call a sword, ladies and gentlemen.
I do not envy Gavin Kelly there.
On a 1-2, Kelly strikes out swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts for Chris Diaz. Momentum in Hyannis' favor. An 11-0 Hawks lead as we head to the bottom of the 6th.
When you need to dig, lift, move, cut, or just about anything else, then dial up the rental source staffed with equipment and construction experts. They'll help you get the right machine for the job and make sure it's delivered when and where you need it. With locations across New England and the newest and most reliable inventory, Milton Rents is your local source.
When I started teaching on the Cape 30 years ago, you could buy a house on a teacher's salary. But today, teachers, public safety officers, healthcare and hospitality workers, the people who make the Cape work, are struggling to find homes they can afford. And I really worry about the kids who will follow us. I think it's time we learn to do better.
If housing on Cape Cod matters to you, join us at capehousingmatters.org.
Bottom of the 6th inning, and let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Chatham tomorrow at home, and then it's Wareham. It's going to be a fun broadcast. You'll find out in a moment. And the Katuitt Kettleers on Tuesday after the last off day of the regular season. Harbor Hawks going to have a long stretch in there with their Falmouth and then Bourne right after.
A couple of games at the end of the week. Katuitt, Falmouth, Bourne. Those are the teams that are nestled at the middle of the West Division, chasing the Wareham Gatemen, who Hyannis also gets. You can throw that in there on Sunday. You play a Chatham team tomorrow that has only got a couple of runs across its last 3 games, Max, and so the Anglers really struggling. But Hyannis exploding for 11 runs tonight. Katuitt, Bourne, and Falmouth have all played pretty close games for the most part, at least at some point with Hyannis this season. Of course, the Kettleers worked Hyannis yesterday to the tune of an 11-0 run rule win, which Hyannis is headed for right now. But those are not only the biggest 3 games of the season, but the ones where we'll learn the most about this Harbor Hawk team headed into the postseason.
Well, a lot of times over the course of a summer, a team looks for their identity, but it's hard to find that when the roster's different every day. Schaffner takes ball 1. But as we mentioned, kind of the exodus where guys just get cleaned out right after the All-Star break. This group, of course, Hyannis, a couple guys will go. A lot of guys will come in, I'm sure, when the NECBL season ends. This is kind of the core identity of the team. Schaffner underground at first. Cade Lewis, nice backhand play for out number 1.
They call the day after the All-Star break, Max, evacuation day here on the Cape, and that's with good reason because rosters never stay stagnant throughout the season, yet the day after the All-Star break is where the most turnover happens for each Cape Cod Baseball League team. And to your point, Max, what happens there is the fact that the roster is going to be the one that will likely take a team through the postseason should it qualify for the playoffs.
The white-hot Dayton LaChance takes this ball inside. 3 for 3 with 2 doubles. A bases-clearing double back in the 4th inning. His second hit of that inning alone. And he's starting to find his swing. And he's going to be an asset for Mitch Carricker moving forward. And this is interesting to see with Briggs, catching. Carricker essentially going with the 2-catcher lineup because LaChance in there behind the plate. He was there yesterday, but gets the DH duties tonight. Good hitters count to a very good hitter. On a 2-0, LaChance gets his face out of the way.
It's a kind of performance that's very telling of what Mitch Carricker has, Max, as you mentioned, at this point in the season where this team is trying to find its identity with the players that are going to be here for the rest of the summer. And LaChance, with his size and swing, really gives Mitch Carricker the ability to play him anywhere. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him play somewhere like first if he's got the experience to do so, just to get the powerful bat of Dayton LaChance in the lineup along with Brody Briggs' defense.
3-1 launched left field. Salek going back, looking up, and it is a fair ball down that left field line. LaChance walks into second base with his 4th hit, 3rd double. And this man can do no wrong.
This is the Dayton LaChance game, Max. He is a few feet shy of a home run on this pitch. absolutely jumps on the fastball, obliterated down the line. It just stays fair, and Sefcik goes crashing into that wall as it's a couple of feet shy of finding the trees for LaChance, who would have been a triple shy of the cycle. And Max almost had the chance to stretch it to 1 in that 4th inning.
Miles Davis really the only guy who hasn't joined in on the hit party tonight. Davis's last hit was in Brewster a couple days ago. He did pick up an RBI single, but from one Oklahoma transfer, incoming transfer in LaChance, as Charlie Bates takes over at second base as the pinch runner, to another one at the plate in a wild swing. Speed on second and Bates, 1-1. Hammer to left, that's in for a base hit. Carricker throws the stop sign. It briefly gets away from Sefcik. There's a hard hit single. That's got to feel good for Miles Davis.
Miles Davis doing his best Dayton LaChance impression, golfs this one out beneath his knees and just sails Riker Waite at shortstop, and now he has himself a hit. For Hyannis, again, it's trying to just, yes, collect more runs to get the pride across, but collect good at-bats. The more you string together, even in lopsided scores like this, Max, it's going to have an effect for the remainder of this season.
Brody Briggs swings at the first pitch and skies it to left center field. Sefcik is called up by LaGrande. Here comes Bates. The throw to the plate is up the first base line. A sac fly for Brody Briggs, who picks up his second ribby of the day. And Hyannis, a 12-0 lead here in the 6th inning.
Well, Hyannis officially scoring its most runs of this season, and Brody Briggs continues to be productive in the process. His only two outs of the night, Max, have both resulted in RBIs. Both times he's walked, he has scored a run of the 12 that Hyannis has put up in this game. It's all coming together for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
Devin Mitchell back up for the 4th time tonight. And the first pitch is off to the right foul, not a play. Quattrani with no play. Mitchell, let's not forget his first game for the Harbor Hawks 2 weeks ago on July 11th. He started with a bang with that home run, but since then he's really struggled.
That is so beyond dumb.
And oddly enough, Max, he's only played once since he played 4 games in a row for Hyannis after getting here. Rather, up that to every game he played in a row prior to the 23rd against Harwich. So he took a 5-day break after the Falmouth game. Of course, 2 days for the All-Star break thrown in there.
He's around on the pitch, 1-2.
But with a lot of mouths to feed on this Hyannis batting order, Mitchell's kind of been lost in the fire and hasn't had a ton of opportunities to go back to that early performance.
On a 1-2, Mitchell hammers one foul left side. Well, there's another one that he got the barrel on. And in this game, Bourne pitching, specifically, of course, wild outside the zone. The walks lighting up the scorebook. You know, they've issued 8 walks on the day, but also a little bit of wildness inside the zone. We've seen a lot of pitches missed over the heart of the plate that Hyannis has taken advantage of as Mitchell's down on strikes for the 2nd consecutive at-bat. We're through 6, 12-0 Harbor Hawks. We'll take you around the league here at McKeon Park. Harwich beating Orleans 2-1 in the 9th inning. Harwich, of course, atop the Eastern Division. How about Katuitt? A 2-0 lead over Wareham, who's atop the West. They've been red hot after that win against Hyannis. Brewster 5-0 over Falmouth in the 7th inning. And YG 7-4 over Chatham in the 6th. So both teams first in the East in the lead right now. In the first in the West, Wareham Gateman trailing Katuitt in the 8th inning. This broadcast is a copyrighted production of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Any unauthorized duplication, retransmission, or other use is strictly prohibited. Chris Diaz, an easy 1-2-3 in the 6th. He capped it with a pair of Ks. Of the top of the order, Riker Waite and Gavin Kelly. He's going to face 3-4-5 here. First pitch fastball on the inside corner. Cade Lewis has only been up to the plate twice tonight. A 4-6-3 twin killing in the first. A 6-3 ground out in the 4th. And now, behind 0-1 to Diaz. 1-1 on the outside corner. And it's time for probably the first time in a couple games to beat D-Bot. It's been a while. I honestly don't know what the school is, so Gio, you're going to have to help me out right here.
Yeah, here's the 1-2.
You know what, D-Bot, you take play-by-play.
D-Bot just wanted to get on the air.
Yeah.
Because D-Bot, we won't have a difficult one for you
D-Bot,
today.
you take it this at-bat.
All right, thank you. We'll be on air. The producers will be taking over on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good time to announce it.
To be doing play-by-play of that game at Wareham, going over the bridge for a little producer play-by-play as that one's lined into center field for a base hit.
All right, I'm back. Not going to happen.
Fair enough. So this beat D-Bot a
little easier, but let's take a look at this single maybe first. No, we'll go as Landon White is your player, a pitcher for Bourne. He goes to Bryant.
Yeah, so this was I was told that this was an easy one as a little inside baseball or Monday morning quarterback or whatever the saying is. This was really thrown together. We weren't planning on having a beat D-Bot because of, the late start and potentially the early end, knock on wood, if you're a Harbor Hawks fan. I lost my train of thought, but Bryant's the Bulldogs, just like Dean. Woo, woo, woo.
Dean College being the school you attend.
Yes.
Bryant, really no other options on this Bourne roster except for Bryant. And we know that it's honestly, D-Bot, a sign of respect to you and your knowledge of mascots that one's an easy one.
I've called their club hockey teams games. I've called their club lacrosse teams games. So I know
a bit of a wave of the white flag from the broadcast team to D-Bot tonight.
We'll stay on here.
Lewis still on first base. Chris Diaz looking to close this one out, of course. If the score holds, it would end the game here in the 7th.
Once again, happy intern appreciation night as we appreciate us.
We do. I appreciate you, D-Bot.
Peyton with the great first pitch tonight as we were all celebrated on the field. The crowd gave us rather a fine hand, but we really appreciated their support.
1-2 coming up to Holcomb. And it's on the outside corner. Strikeout number 3 for Diaz is out number 1 here in the 7th.
And the 3rd and 4 batters, Max. But D-Bot, are you grading the crowd's applause to the interns?
Look, I get it. It's a late start. They didn't know it was happening. And, we're behind the scenes. We're not the players. But maybe a little D-Bot, D-Bot, D-Bot chant or something would have been nice. I don't expect it, but it would have been
getting
nice.
a little picky there.
Or interns, interns, interns.
I actually want to apologize. That was not Braden Holcomb who struck out. That was Jason Torres, pinch hitter for Bourne. Down 12-0 here in the 7th. A foul ball off to the right and out of play. This is still Drew Wires, and as we mentioned earlier, only playing in his 6th game.
It really is impressive to get serious here for a minute. Diaz has looked so comfortable since coming on the Cape. You really could not tell he was not here from the get-go. Just looks like a natural out there. Me and Graham were talking during the break. You know, the sleeves went 90 degrees is kind of a bold move, but man, he looks good in them. It fits him, and he looks confident, and he's ready to potentially punch him out here.
Looking for back-to-back Ks, and there's a ground ball to third base. Miles Davis, it's out of his reach, and it trickles through. The second single of the inning for Bourne, and they got 2 on for Cal Sefcik.
Braves patching something together here, and that's really all they're looking for, Max, because this game likely out of reach, as we keep mentioning. Of course, we don't want to call anything too early, even if it is 12-0. But for Bourne, this also becomes a very critical next week and a half, or just a bit under that, because as much as Hyannis is in last tonight, and with Falmouth losing to Brewster, Hyannis could leapfrog at the Commodores to go back into a playoff spot. Bourne is on the ropes as well, because the deficit between Hyannis and Bourne, not all that big.
Sefcik, a fly ball right center field. Devin Mitchell calling and catching out number 2.
Yeah, just got under the high fastball, couldn't get up to it. Took it the opposite way, had the right idea there, but just couldn't get the bat up quick enough. Now they're down to their final out.
Sean LaGrande, the final hope.
You can hear more of that expert analysis on Sunday when the producers take over and broadcast the game.
I'm very excited for that, Daniel Bottolino.
As well as
as am I.
As well as a little tomfoolery. We'll have our fun.
We always have our fun here on Cape League TV.
Yes.
Harbor Hawks, of course, on Sunday traveling to Wareham for the first time since opening day back on June 14th, which honestly kind of felt like an eternity ago. It's been a long summer.
Shout out Cameron Chialoy.
High drive right field, but playable as Mitchell makes the catch, and Hyannis takes this one against Bourne. They snap the losing skid, and they explode for 12 runs. How about 9 in the 4th inning? And an unbelievable night from the Hyannis offense, headlined by Dayton LaChance, 4 for 4 with 3 doubles, including a bases clearing one. This one was all Harbor Hawks from start to finish as they take it in 7 innings.
You could even say, if you're nitpicking, Max, it's a bit of a slow start for Hyannis, going down 1 above the minimum through 2 innings. But then in that 3rd is when the barrage starts. And who else to do it but Brody Briggs? He has been a spark plug, believe it or not, despite this 3-game losing streak. The catcher from Arizona State has done nothing but be productive for Hyannis, even in its losses. You get a walk, a hit batsman, 8 walks across 3 frames for Bourne, including an explosive 4th with a 9 spot to really take this game out of reach for Bourne. And Hyannis captures what I would say, Max, is its biggest win of the season, given that its back is against the wall, having just fallen out of a playoff spot last night in really unceremonious fashion to Katuitt with an 11-0 run rule loss. What does Hyannis do in response to that? Being shut out for the first time in 31 games this season, explodes for 12 runs of its own and a run rule victory to combat that. With Falmouth losing right now, Hyannis is going to put itself back into a playoff spot tonight if that score holds.
A 12-0 final score. Stay tuned for Hawk Talk Live on the other side of this break.
Here at the Mass State Lottery, we're known for our monster wins. But there's no bigger win than the $1 billion we provide each year to support all 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. In our game, we know that supporting local businesses and helping communities is how we all win. Because at the lottery, we're all playing for the home team. The Mass State Lottery. Welcome to the state of winning.
Mitch Carricker staying alongside Graham Nash here after the Harbor Hawks win.
Day yesterday to get this kind of explosion. How did that feel?
It felt good. I mean, I told the guys like it wasn't pretty, like it wasn't a lot of hard hit balls everywhere, but just competitive at bats, putting the ball in play. Obviously, LaChance had a really good day at the plate, but it was just a gritty win. You know, it looks like it was ugly, but it was gritty, and it's kind of what we expected from our guys from the start.
I do want to ask you about LaChance. He came in just about a week ago, and with this kind of performance, what do you think he's going to mean for the team going forward?
Yeah, huge. I mean, we knew he was a really good hitter when he got here. Just didn't know how it was going to translate coming from a junior college, and he's shown he can be really, really good. So hopefully he can keep that going for us.
Last thing, Coach, the pitching was also really, really strong, starting with Max Stammel. What did you like about his start today?
Yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, he commanded the strike zone. He threw 3 pitches for strikes. You know, the change was really good against their right-handers. Did a nice job of minimizing, you know, some potential innings for them where they could have scored. And so, you know, pitching staff was great. Diaz, you know, shutting the door there in those last 2 innings was really good. So, felt like a full, complete win for the first time in a long time. So hopefully we can continue to build on it.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Guys?
Thanks very much, Graham. And the Harbor Hawks, a 12-0 win. 12 runs on 8 hits. Bourne, no runs on 6 hits. And I got to say, as Mitch Carricker said, it felt like it was a long time coming. As we have another player standing by, Dane LaChance is going to talk with our very own Ava Fernandez.
Ava Fernandez alongside Dayton LaChance from Oklahoma, and Dayton went 4 for 4 at the plate today with 3 doubles and a single. Dayton, what was working for you at the plate?
I don't know. I was seeing the ball well, I guess, today. I mean, at least we won the game. It's been a little bit, so I mean, it was fun to do it at home too. So it was great.
Yeah, and what do you think was kind of the motivation that you guys needed tonight to get this win?
I mean, Coach gave us a no early word today, so we arrived later, and we didn't know with the game too, but we had a long BP, and I guess it was good for a lot of guys to have a little more rest and just get back at it at home.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of a rain delay today. Do you think that having some fun for the rain delay kind of really had this motivation for you guys to win today?
Yeah, I think like might as well wait at home a little bit, like a couple of hours. Like might as well win it. So I guess that was a fun time.
Yeah, well, great game tonight. Thank you so much, you guys. Back to you.
As we welcome you inside the broadcast booth here at McKeon Park, Max Schwartzberg alongside Giovanni Collada. Well, as mentioned, a 12-0 run rule win. 7 innings for Hyannis. 12 runs on 8 hits. Bourne, no runs on 6 hits in Geo. As Mitch Carricker said, this win felt like a long time coming.
You could see the release from Mitch Carricker in that interview with our own Graham Nash, because this has been a very tumultuous month for him. The last 3 games in particular, Max, have been, I think, among the hardest of this month of July, where Hyannis coming into tonight was 4-12-2 in the month of July. After finishing atop the West Division in June by a couple of points, now they come into the night in 5th place out of a playoff spot for just the second time this summer. And what does Mitch Carriker get in response to giving his guys some of that rest along with the rain delay? Of course, an extended batting practice, as you heard Dayton LaChance mention with Ava, but make no mistake that it worked, whatever they did tonight, because that 4th, 5th, and 6th inning, just the Hyannis Harbor Hawks that we were used to in the beginning of this season really looked like their former selves tonight.
Well, it definitely looked like the June Harbor Hawks, and of course that 9-run 4th inning, what we want to highlight in Dayton LaChance's big game. But let's also just give credit where it's due to Max Stammel. He came in and did his job, and we mentioned coming into this game, the Harbor Hawks only 4 innings facing the minimum through 8 games. Max Stammel did it a couple times, and he was able to get out of jams, which was huge.
And I think the most impressive part is that he stretched 5 innings without much of a problem. 4 hits, no runs. It's the first time all season long he hasn't allowed a run in an outing. To go along with 4 strikeouts, Max, which I think were among the more impressive Ks from any Harbor Hawks pitcher this season because of the way he challenged batters for each of them. You got all 3 of the 4 of them swinging strikeouts. So for a powerful Bourne lineup, that's exactly what he needed to do coming into this game. The incoming Virginia Cavalier passed with flying colors today.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And now if we want to break down that 4th inning, a long time coming because we've talked ad nauseum this year. The Hyannis, at least in July, has missed the big hit, right? And it seems like, especially against Bourne last time on July 16th, when the Harbor Hawks brought the tying run at second base in the 9th inning, they just weren't able to get it done, but that was not the case today. Parker Brocious started that inning with that big bases-clearing single. Of course, that air sprinkled in there that allowed him to get to second base. But Dayton LaChance, he's the man of the hour. How about 4 for 4 with 3 doubles and a bases-clearing one at that? It seemed like just a breath of fresh air for Hyannis, Gio.
I like how you put that, Max, because that's almost what Dayton LaChance said to Ava just now. The fact that with his size at 6'4", 240, he's built like a linebacker. He's got all the power in the world as he's put on display in batting practice this season. But in the same way that Gabe Camacho hasn't left the yard and has still made an impact, Dayton LaChance did just that tonight. Was a few feet from leaving the yard on his 3rd double in a row in this game on his last at-bat before Charlie Bates pinch ran for him. But if he is able to display that power this season, for the rest of this season for Mitch Carriker, I'd liken him to a Miles Bailey type of player. Maybe not as sporadic as we saw from Miles Bailey, who played a full 50-60 game season with FSU all the way through the NCAA regionals, playing the best pitchers in the country. It tired him out headed into Team USA. He struck out quite a bit. Even though LaChance is a bit of a wild swing, I don't really see that from him because he's making a lot better swing decisions than we saw from Bailey in the early goings of this season, and it paid off for him tonight.
And especially if we go back to that inning specifically, the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, they took advantage of free passes, which is not something that they did really throughout the month of July, especially the last time these two teams faced off back on July 16th, because that was a game when Bourne, they committed 5 errors in the field. Tonight, Bourne walked 8. Hyannis cashed in. They made a couple errors. Hyannis cashed in. It seemed like the tension, the stress of not being able to deposit runs based on opponent mistakes really came all to fruition tonight.
It did, Max, and you could hear it with Mitch Carriker as we started this show with the fact that that's been what he's waiting for all season long, and specifically all month long. Even when Hyannis was winning, it didn't do that very well. When teams gave it errors, 4 losses in the month of June, a lot of them you could point to, okay, Orleans commits 2 errors, and Hyannis just scrapes away with a win because it scored 8 runs in the first 3 innings. That's not going to happen every game, and not even a 9-run inning in the 4th like we saw tonight is going to happen every game. But what's the good omen about that 9-run inning, Max? That you didn't have a 3-run home run, maybe a grand slam mixed in there along with a couple of singles. Even though you did have 5 hits in that inning, you also had 4 walks and a hit by pitch and a wild pitch and an error in that inning. So that is what's really good for Mitch Carriker, that his team, as you mentioned, is cashing in on what the opponent gives them.
And this game is really big for momentum. We talked about it at the top of the show. That's really all Hyannis could look for going into this game when they just dropped to last place in the Western Division for the first time this summer. And let's not forget, last night in Katuitt, that 11-0 loss, the first time through 31 games that the Harbor Hawks had been shut out all season long. So for them to have that game, and then you go to this in a 24-hour turnaround, it's night and day, and that's something that Mitch Carriker has to be confident about moving forward.
You could see that frustration almost, Max, from the Cotuit game come out in the bats tonight because they knew they were capable of a game like this throughout the entire month of July. Even with a roster that's been turned on its head after the All-Star break, and really even before that, when a bunch of its players left, namely Jackson Willits, Matt Mira, due to the draft and other reasons. But for this Hyannis squad, it's now, I think, beginning to find its identity with the core of guys that it will have for the remainder of the season. Dayton LaChance, we've talked about him ad nauseum in this show, Max, and with good reason, because he burst onto the scene and proved to Mitch Carriker that he has a player like that. He has a player that can make an impact with a couple of swings of the bat. But another player I want to highlight is Brody Briggs, because even win or lose for Hyannis of late, Max, he has been incredibly productive. Maybe not every night, of course. His playtime always sporadic with switching off catchers. Mitch Carriker's got a two-catcher lineup, as we talked about late in that game. But Brody Briggs, highlighted by that win over Falmouth here at McKeon Park the week ago today, has been really productive at all levels. He caught 2 runners stealing tonight. He scored a couple of runs, grounded out for an RBI, and had a sac fly in the 7th inning to help Hyannis surge ahead. It's a guy that's been here that's from day one that's still making an impact today.
And let's actually take another look at that bases clearing double for Dayton LaChance back in the 4th inning.
You can see that he jumps on this ball right away from Colin Fisher. Goes right up the third base line, and you see all 3 runs come home, Max, because of excellent jumps. One of the guys on base, Owen Prince, starts that off. Jake Schaffner trots in.
All the way from first?
All the way from first. That's what I was going to mention. I'll stand corrected. I don't even see Prince in there. And that just shows you what kind of speedsters Hyannis has, but also for Dayton LaChance to rope that double.
Yeah, and if you especially just think about it like this, in that at-bat specifically, LaChance crushed about 2 balls, 400 feet, but foul. This time he straightens it out, and it's wrapped down the third base line. And for Mitch Carriker, and he mentioned, he's a dangerous hitter. We wanted to see how it slotted in. And let's not forget LaChance through the first couple games, he really struggled. And then right now, all of a sudden, he's red hot. He hit last night in Cotuit, hit the game before. Then the big explosion here. They're going to need players like that, the newcomers that have just arrived, moving forward with this new identity, because this is your core, to step up, because you still have the older guys who've been doing it since day one. Brody Briggs, Jake Schaffner, Charlie Bates. But these guys can make just as much of an impact, Gio.
They sure can, Max, and they certainly did tonight. Make no mistake that Hyannis has had a lot of roster turnover, some of the most in the league. Since July 7th, nearly 15 new players have joined the Harbor Hawks, and Dayton LaChance among them, along with Jace Doby, Parker Brocious, and Miles Davis, as well as Devin Mitchell in this specific lineup tonight. But a lot of those guys didn't play tonight as well, Max. And when Mitch Carriker, when we asked him about the infusion of novelty for this team right when it was happening just ahead of the All-Star break, he was clear to say he didn't know what he had in a lot of these guys. Now as we get into a week and a half with some of these guys having played consistently, Mitch Carriker sure knows what he has, and he's got a lot of good in Dayton LaChance specifically.
He sure does, and LaChance has a chance to make another impact tomorrow. I promise you I didn't mean to do that, but that was really cool. But before we go, a lot of people we have to thank on our production crew, our producers, Charlie Adams, Dana Bodolino, Sam Montag, James Kluggish, for our sideline reporters, Ava Fernandez and Ethan Wax, for my partners, Giovanni Collada and Graham Nash, just right over there. I'm Max Schwartzberg saying thank you so much, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
I think, Dean, they're allowing you to find your own success and your own true independence.
Dean is a whole group of all different kinds of people and communities.
Since I've come to Dean, I've learned a lot of time management skills.
Our community is especially tight-knit, and the majority of our students live on campus. And you are guaranteed 4 years of housing while you attend Dean.
Dean is just full of opportunities for you to embrace, to welcome, so you can change yourself to who you want to be and form your career for the future.
So go through that, all right? Think that way.
Be a bulldog. Have a bulldog mentality in everything you do in life, whether you're playing sports or in the classroom or just socializing around campus.
When
it comes to delicious food, the best place to start is with great appliances. And Cam Appliances is your one-stop shop for any budget with brands like Thermador, Viking, Bosch, GE, and so much more. Cam Appliances, sales, delivery, installation, and service in the heart of your home with locations in Hyannis, Nantucket, and Hanover.